obesity. All right, so we talked about physiological reasons, we talked about diets and the foods we eat in the United States. So now let's talk about external cues. People who, now remember, this is how when people are obese, these are the reactions that have. Those of you who aren't, those of you who may not do any of this, this may be one of the reasons why you're not obese, but people who are obese will react to external cues. So what does that mean? Is that food really looks good. I want one of those pieces that, oh boy, does that smell good, okay? They may be watching television and a commercial for food comes on and they go, whoa, I really like that, okay? What happens? They respond to external things that are there. I find myself doing that sometimes. You look at a piece of cake or something and go, oh, that really looks good. That looks real good. But there's a part of my brain, though, that goes to, yeah, but is it calorie worthy? I know this is ridiculous, but I mean, sometimes is it really calorie worthy? Like I like ice cream, so I have all these different gelatos and stuff in my freezer and stuff. So every once in a while I go, oh, I really like some gelato. That sounds good. Is it calorie worthy? And then it's kind of like, well, do you really need a big bowl of that? Why don't you just go and get a scoop, okay? Take the scoop, eat it slowly, okay? And it's probably just as enjoyable, okay? Rather than get a big bowl of it, because you know what sensory adaptation is, right? After a while, you don't even taste that stuff anymore. And so, but people who are obese are going to respond to those external cues and say, boy, that looks good, and have it. Okay, and just have it. One of the more successful weight management programs, and this is statistically, is Weight Watchers. All right. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a stupid program," but one of the things they do is that they help people think about what they're eating and not respond to external cues, because they base their programs on points. You can eat whatever you want as long as it is within a certain number of points. So if you want to waste your points on a piece of cake and that gets you all your points for all day long, then I guess that's what you're going to have. That's there. So it's an interesting program, and it just makes people more aware of what they're eating. Okay. By the way, most weight management programs work. Okay. But then about 90% of the people who lose weight put it back on again. Okay. So they do work for a while, and then people gain the weight again. Another reason why people eat is because of emotionally upset. Okay? Some of you, by the way, when you're upset, you're anxious, you're depressed, you don't eat at all. Okay? You just stop eating. But for a lot of people who gain a lot of weight, they have a tendency to eat when they're emotionally upset. So if they are usually negative-based emotions, like being depressed, anxious, upset, sad, and a big one is boredom. Okay, isn't that an interesting term? When people get bored, sometimes they eat. Again, I find myself doing that. If it's a rainy Sunday, like a couple of weeks ago was a rainy Sunday and really wasn't doing much, all of a sudden I was like, well, what do I want to cook? And then it was kind of like, well, what sounds good to eat? And, you know, we don't go looking for things like, oh, today I think I'd like a carrot. Oh, that sounds so good. I think I'll like a carrot. That'll really help me. No, it doesn't, right? What you go for is basically salty foods, potato chips, right? Simple carbohydrates, like, and we call simple carbohydrates comfort foods, okay? Foods that make us feel comfortable. So that's going to be the pastas, the ice creams, the desserts, the cakes, the pies that are there. I was doing this in my other class, and someone said, and mashed potatoes. And I went, mashed potatoes? And then other people in the class went, yeah, boy, I really like mashed potatoes when I don't feel good. Okay? I guess, all right? In front of you, you're shaking your head, and you're going, yeah, I think it's a woman's thing, too. No, okay? But now, by the way, simple carbohydrates, as they're processed in the body, okay, as it's being processed, as it gets into the brain, as it gets into the brain, I won't bore you with all the chemical reactions, but when it hits the brain, it's turned into serotonin. It increases your levels of serotonin. Remember serotonin, the feel-good? So what are you doing? You're eating all this ice cream, and after a while, I'm feeling better. Emotionally upset, eat this food, you feel better. That's a conditioning, isn't it, that goes on with that. So what winds up happening, we find that, yeah, it does make you feel better when you eat these foods and when you're emotionally upset. So I think also it may be part of your culture, may have taught you this as well. I know when I was younger, my grandmother took care of myself and just about all my cousins. And anytime we would fall down and skin our knee, we go, oh, I really hurt my knee. Grandma used to always pull out something to eat. She'd give us a cookie, and then she would say, here's a cookie. It will make you feel better. Right? Talk about conditioning that goes on, right? And of course, she gives you a big hug, and here's a cookie. Well, that's a form of conditioning, because what happens, I eat the cookie, the pain goes away. It's like negative reinforcement. Remember that, right? There's something there, it goes away, okay? So later on in my life, I guess I've got a conditioning there that says when you feel bad, eat, it'll make you feel better. Emotionally upset, right? And then some cultures, okay, subcultures, they eat a lot, okay? That's part of their celebrations that are there. It's your birthday, what are we going to do? We're going to go out to eat, we're going to make you a cake. I'm not going to go put candles and a piece of celery, right? It's got to be a big piece of cake. It's a celebration that's there. Some of you are from families and subcultures that when Sunday comes along, okay, that's the day for families to get together and you graze all day long. You start eating at 12 and the family gets together and you just eat all day long. The Hispanic culture is that way. The African American culture is that way. I grew up in an Italian culture, and we'd go to Mass, and then after that we'd come home, or go to my grandmother's house once again, and there'd be food out. And you'd eat from 12, and then you'd eat at 2, and 5, and 8, and you ate all day long. And part of the culture was also, if you went to someone's house, okay, the first thing you did was say, what can I get you? Okay, because that was the respectful thing to do. You go to someone's house and you'd sit down, they offer you something to eat, right? A lot of you have those cultures. What would you like to eat? And if you refuse somebody, like what I do is I don't live in New York anymore, so if I go up and visit, sometimes I see one aunt and then I go see another one and I see my cousins. And every different place you go, it may be 3 different places in one day, and everybody says, what can I get you? And if you say, well, I just had something at the other house, they kind of look at you like, well, what do you mean? Okay, I'll have something. Because it's almost as if you refuse them, it means you don't love them. Refuse my food, you don't love me. Okay, I'll eat your cheesecake. I'll take another piece of that. That's there. So some cultures promote eating. Okay, they promote eating. That's there. All right, taste. People who are obese actually reduce sensory adaptation. They taste food longer than people who are not obese. Isn't that interesting? So they smell it, they taste it, they enjoy it, and they don't, okay, get into sensory adaptation so quickly as everybody else. Exercise. No exercise, right? People who are overweight, obese, have a tendency not to exercise. You know, some of the countries I put up on here the other day, and we looked at obesity rates in different countries. There are some countries, those people eat a lot, okay? They eat a lot of food, but they also walk a lot, okay? When I was in London one year, we had dinner, or whatever they call it, or supper or dinner. I forget what they call it over there. But it was like we didn't eat until 8 o'clock at night. Now, some of you do that. You go out late and you eat. I don't do that. I eat at 6. I don't go to Luby's at 4 o'clock anymore. I don't go there. I'm not that old to go to the, the blue hair special or something like that at 4 o'clock. But what happens is you get older, you have a tendency to eat a little earlier. And I've always ate around between 6 and 7. But you're eating over there at 8. You don't finish eating until 9:30 sometimes. That's late. And then what they do is they say, well, let's go for a walk. I said, we'll go for a walk. It's 10 o'clock at night. We're going to go for a walk? Well, it's raining out. I think every time I've been in London, it's always rained. Okay, so you're in London, it's 10 o'clock at night, it's raining. Well, yeah, let's put our slickers on. All right, raincoats. All right, raincoat, get our umbrella, and we go outside, and we walk. And there were hundreds of people all over the place, just walking all over the place. we were near Hyde Park, and we went to Hyde Park and walked around. It's like it's dark out. It was 10 o'clock at night. People are all over the place walking. We don't do that here. Can you imagine after your dinner at 9 o'clock, you go for a walk on Marsh Lane? Right? Or LBJ or somewhere? Where do we walk to? You don't see people walking, do you? No, we don't do it. We eat, and then we go to sleep. Or we eat and we watch television. That's there. And how do we exercise? Well, most of you go to gyms and exercise, and most of you join a gym in what month? January. Thank you. Right? Everybody, my New Year's resolution, and I'm going to work out more. Okay? And everybody joins a club, and by February, no one's going anymore. Right? Because we don't exercise a lot. So that's another reason why, okay, our obesity rates are so high. All right, let's see if you're paying attention. People with weight problems are more likely to eat when experiencing the emotion of what? Sadness, anxiety, boredom, or all of the above. Hurry up, get yours. Hurry up, hurry up. Wow, you got that answer pretty quickly, huh? Really? Did you do yours? Okay, all right. We'll wait for you. You're welcome. Sure, right? All of the above. It's all of them. Sadness, anxiety, boredom, those are the negative-based emotions that are there. And people with weight problems do that. Again, some of you don't have weight problems. You don't eat when you're anxious or sad and bored at all. Okay? And that may contribute to you being so thin, I guess. All right. Obesity is an eating disorder. Right? It is an eating disorder. Sometimes when we talk about eating disorders, we just think of anorexia and bulimia, but eating is the number one eating disorder. Not only is it the number one eating disorder, obesity, but it's also one of the major health problems in the United States. It is the number one health problem of children. Did you hear what I said? It's the number one health problem of children. Do you know what diabetes is? Okay, so there's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. A type 1 diabetes is basically when your pancreas does not secrete any insulin whatsoever. And we used to call that child-onset diabetes because we used to find it just in children. That's there. Type 2 diabetes is when your pancreas is still secreting some insulin, but not enough. That's there. And we used to call that adult-onset diabetes. That usually occurred in adults, and it was highly correlated with being overweight. Highly correlated with age and being overweight. Well, in the last 10 years, we're seeing a lot more type 2 diabetes, okay, for children. Okay, so what's happening is that the children, through lack of exercise, eating too much, their bodies are getting overwhelmed, the pancreas is getting overwhelmed, and we're beginning to see type 2 diabetes with children as well. That's there. Okay, and it's a devastating illness that people will have. So I hate to see that in there, but it's a big problem in the United States. Two other eating disorder problems are called anorexia and bulimia. Okay? Anorexia, very simply, is self-starvation. I don't know how else I can explain it, right? It's self-starvation that's there. Remember our chapter on perception? And we talked about how what you perceive, your reality is based on how you perceive the world. Well, anorexics perceive the world very, very differently than the rest of us. Okay? Anorexic will actually have body dysmorphia, or they have a change in their perception about their body. It's a weird picture that's here, but here's a young girl on the scale. Okay, that's the way she really looks, but her perception of herself is the shaded area. Okay, when she looks in the mirror, she sees that, not this. A complete change in her perception that's there. When you and I feel hungry, we say, oh gosh, I'm hungry, I need to put some food in me because I want to eliminate my hunger. Their perception is, oh, I'm hungry, isn't that good? Maybe I'll get to lose more weight. How do I get the hunger pain to go away? Go exercise. Because by the way, when you exercise, you do lose your hunger pains. That's there. There's a misperception that's there. Another quality of this is I'm not in control of different parts of my life, but I can control my lack of eating, and I feel good when I do that. Okay? It makes me feel good. I feel like I'm in control of something in my life. That's there. Anorexia is a serious illness that's there. One doesn't die from anorexia, but you'll die from complications of anorexia. And there are various famous people who've had that happen to them, actresses, models, movie stars, and on, and singers. What do you die from? Well, what winds up happening, your body is starving. It's starving. It needs some food. So when it uses all of the fat cells, it's looking for other cells to get energy out of. So what does it go to next is muscle cells. Okay? And what's a muscle? Your heart. Okay? So what happens is the heart starts breaking down. And people have heart attacks, die of heart failure. That's there. Anorexia, bulimia, obesity are probably lifelong issues and lifelong problems. If you're diagnosed at one time, you probably will have issues throughout your life. Okay? Let's go back. Whoops. Let me go back. Bulimia. Bulimia is binging, eating, and then feeling bad about all that eating, and then purging it, trying to get out. By the way, anorexics can also go through binging and purging as well. Anorexics we usually see very visibly in our society. I mean, you can see who's so thin. Okay, bulimics sometimes are hard to see that they have eating disorders, basically because they look like everybody else, but then they go on these little binging. Okay, they may go to dinner with them, and they eat a lot, and then they just go, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. And they go to the bathroom, and you're thinking, well, they're just going to the bathroom. Well, they're not. What they've learned to do is learn to maybe vomit without putting their fingers down their throats. Okay, or they may take a laxative later on at night. Okay, to get rid of the food that's there. And this becomes a real addiction, because what winds up happening is that they get this obsession about eating, and I need to eat something, and when they eat, sometimes it calms them down, some of them, sometimes it reduces depression, that's there, or they just eat to be sociable with people. They do that, and then they have a real need to purge, because they don't like the full feeling. So at first it starts out as just regular meals and things like that, and then it becomes pretty obsessed. And when they really get into the illness, when they binge, it's on anything that's around, because I need to do that. Now, to me, if I was going to binge, give me some ice cream. Okay? Give me something good. But it gets to the point, if they've eaten that, then they'll go for anything else, like a loaf of white bread, okay, or dry oatmeal, or anything that's around to get that feeling again, and then they're going to purge that to feel good as well. It's almost a dual conditioning, okay? I'm feeling bad, I eat, I feel better, then I feel bad after I eat, so I vomit or use some type of laxative, and then I feel good once I'm purged. That's there. Okay? All kinds of issues and problems. There's blood sugar levels, a lot of esophagus problems if they're throwing up, rotten teeth, problems with your throat, GI issues as well, in terms of complications with all of these. All of these people can be assisted, right? All of these people can be assisted. It's like anything else, though. Like we talked about drug addiction and drug abuse. You have to be able to say, yes, I have an issue and a problem. That's there. I used to stand up here and say, well, you know, anorexia, it's basically white adolescent girls, okay, who do this. Throw that one out, okay, because what we find, it goes across all ethnic groups, all ages. There are women in their 70s who are anorexic. Bulimia cuts across all groups as well. I can't say just women anymore, because there are men who do this as well. Okay, so it is becoming an issue that's there. There are biological issues that people may find that the reason why they're moving towards this. There are psychological issues in terms of depression and anxiety, abuse factors in there. And then there are cultural answers to this as well, of why people do this. And part of the cultural part is the images that we present men and women. Okay? This was a collage done by a group of women who are in an anorexic clinic about they just went through magazines and picked out pictures of models. And the ones that looked anorexic, or the ones really, the assignment was pick out a picture of a woman who you'd like to look like. Okay, and obviously they just entered the program. Okay, that's here. And you may look at these and go, there's nothing wrong with these women. These women are really thin. Okay, they're very, very thin. So what winds up happening, the culture gets presented that if you want to look good, you should look this way. Models themselves, and models are very thin. Why? Because the clothes kind of drape on them. Okay, they look that way. Well, models themselves say, I don't know why people would want to look like us. Okay? We're genetic freaks to begin with. I mean, models are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, thin to begin with. And then to maintain that, a lot of them have either drug abuse problems or some type of eating disorders. Okay? That's their very high correlation with that. So it's the images that are thrown at us that you should look this way. An interesting little exercise to do sometime is get online and see, or go to a half-price bookstore and see if you can find old magazines from the 1950s or 60s, okay? And look at what the models looked like back then, or take pictures of the celebrities back then, the movie stars and everything, and think of old magazines, Life and Look and Women's Home, Ladies' Home Journal. They've been around for a long, long time. Go back and look at that. What was indication of an attractive woman was very different, physically attractive, very different than what it is today. You know who Marilyn Monroe was? Right, the sexual icon of the 1950s and 60s. I forget what size dress she was. I think she was a 12 or a 14. Okay? Marilyn Monroe, okay, had large breasts, but she had nice size hips there. It was like this, okay? And she was like, wow, she is the woman. If you look at all the actresses back then who were considered to be the sex symbols of their times, they were curvy, okay? They had some nice hips that were there. If you really want to go back, do you know what a Rubenesque woman was? Okay? Back in the 15th, 16th centuries, if you go to museums and you see the pictures of their models and the beautiful women in those days, boy, they had some hips back then. I mean, they were pretty substantial. Matter of fact, that was the ideal woman. And matter of fact, the culture back then, if women wanted to be attractive, they wore things that push everything down here to make them look real thin here, okay, and then push everything out here. And even the corsets that they wore was to make this look thin, and then they wore like skirts and hoops and everything to make them look bigger here. And people are like, wow, that's really good. Now, I know that certain subcultures, the ideal of an attractive woman is different. Sometimes hips are a little larger and you like that and everything else, but it's cultural, right? And there's cultural pressures on people to look certain ways. Okay? In the 1960s, in the late 60s and 70s, we went to thin, 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 thin. Almost an anorexic look that's there. Nowadays, it's more fit, right? Everybody needs to be firm bodies that are there. And when we look at the actresses and models who people try to emulate, that's their job, is to look that way. You know what I'm saying? How many millions of dollars do they spend on surgery? Okay, but also on having trainers with them. I mean, they have people who walk around with them all day long saying, "Don't eat that, do this, let's go exercise." Okay, because that's their job to look that way. But so many other people want to look that way. If you go out with somebody, sometime women, and they say, "Ha, getting a little pudgy over there, are you?" And you say, "Ha, what's it to you?" Okay, it's kind of like, this is my body. Be comfortable with your bodies. Now, for health reasons, right, you don't want to increase your weights for health reasons, but try not to get sucked into this. And by the way, men do that too, guys, okay, because we got to be fit and everything else. And if you are, that's great. But just don't do it just for the sake of what the culture is telling you to look like. Because then we get lost and we can very easily fall into these issues. This is an interesting little study. They did this with people who've had different types of eating disorders. And what they said is, take a look at these different women and body types and tell me, one, what do you think would be your perceived ideal weight? Where do you want to be at? And most of the women said way down here. Okay? Now you may say, oh, she looks good. Well, she's awful thin. You got all those ribs and everything showing. Okay? So that's way down here. And then they said, well, what do you think guys really like? And they said, well, guys really like women, where's my little marker? Likes women who are more like over here. Then they asked guys, what do you like? And they went, no, that's too thin. I like over here. Okay? That's the way. You see their perceptions are off. And then the classic question is, well, what does your body look like? Okay, and they're way over here. My guess is if I asked, well, I can ask you that question. I won't do this one. I'm going to skip that one. My perceived ideal weight is lower than my actual weight. Now, I'm going to skip this one because I usually show you the difference between men and women. What usually happens is men are usually okay with whatever they weigh, okay, and women are the ones that say no, but I'm not going to split that up right now. What do you think? All right, so kind of all over the place, but 40% of you say agree that's there, 21 kind of neutral in that way. Again, your weight is what your weight is. If you want to lose some weight, great. Just don't get so upset with yourself because you're not the ideal weight that's there. All right? Do it for physical reasons to lose the weight for yourself rather than just for psychological or cultural reasons that are there. But the more eating disorders people have, the more misperception they have of their bodies. And by the way, as we get older, you're all going to gain weight, so that just happens. Sorry. Look at some of the characteristics, recognizing eating disorders. And one of the reasons why I'm spending more time in this, because the age group of 18 to about 28 is dealing with eating disorders. So I've always told you in this class, let me give you the theories, but let me see if also I can help you personally. So if you look at it, the characteristics of anorexia and the characteristics of bulimia, you look at yourself, think about your friends in that way as well. And just look at some of the characteristics. Look at anorexia, body weight below 85% of normal for one's height and age. 85%, it's pretty darn high, right? 85%. Refusal to maintain body weight in normal range, intense fear of becoming fat. I mean, intense fear. I mean, some of us go, oh, I really need to lose weight. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting up every morning and all you're thinking about during your day is what you can't eat. Okay? It's like an obsession that these people have. It's the same thing like an alcoholic. It's the same, anything else with drugs. Once you start abusing drugs, you're thinking about when you're going to get your next fix. When are we going to do this? How long can I last? And it's the same thing with these people as well. Or even people who are obese. Sometimes they think, well, when can I have my next meal? Well, later on I'm going to have. Boy, that's going to be good. Because they're always thinking about that. The thinking kind of takes over. Self-evaluation unduly influenced, denial of seriousness, absence of menstrual periods. Okay? Menstrual periods has a lot to do with percentage of body fat to body weight. Okay? And once that gets real low, you're not going to menstruate. Those little girls, I'm going to call them the gymnasts, okay, who are 13 and 14 and 15, who look like they're 8, 9, and 10 years old, they don't menstruate, most of them. Most long-distance runners, marathon runners, usually don't menstruate because they're so thin that's there. And anorexics don't do that either. By the way, once those gymnasts stop working out, usually their body, they put on weight and they menstruate and they blossom very, very quickly when that happens. Okay? And by the way, there are men who are also anorexic and men who are bulimic as well. And then you can look at the list of bulimia. So let's see if you read that list. Symptoms of anorexia are what? Intense fear of being fat, body weight below 85% of normal for one's height and weight, false perception of body image, all of these. By the way, that chart is in your book. It's in your textbook. Well, you answered that one pretty quickly, didn't you? Got it? I think we were at, what, 67, 68, 69. We go for 70? All right. Sure, 93, it's all of the above. I said intense fear of being fat, body weight, I mentioned that one. And the big one is false perception that's there. Test coming up. Test 3 coming up pretty quickly. Starts tomorrow, goes through next Wednesday, those of you who came in late. All right, let's switch a little bit. Let's talk about motivation. Second part of this chapter. Let's talk about what motivates people, right? Beginning of this chapter, we talked about educational goals and why you're here. You better be able to answer the question, why are you here? If you can't do that, then you're going to lose that motivation that's there. So, when we talk about the theories about how people motivate, we have one theory called the arousal theory. And the arousal theory basically says you need some bit of arousal. Sometimes we use the word anxiety also. Some bit of anxiety, of arousal that gets you going to maximize performance. So let me show you a chart on that, and then I'll come back to this. If we look at this chart here, this is the arousal theory. It's a inverted U. This side over here of the chart is the efficiency of performance. Okay? How intense is your performance? How well are you performing? And down here it's arousal levels. What we find is when your arousal levels are real low, obviously if calm or asleep, there's not much performance going on, right? But if your arousals stay low, what happens is that your performance isn't very high. So those of you, when you took your test last week, and you took it on Wednesday, okay, Tuesday night, those of you who arousal levels were down here, just barely awake, okay, you probably said, oh, test, got to take that tomorrow. Yep, got to do that test tomorrow. I don't know, I guess I'll study. Okay, I'll get to it. Not now, but I'll get to it. There wasn't any of that real, I need to be doing this because if I don't do this, I may fail. I don't want to fail. They didn't have that big arousal that's there. You need to have some type of arousal, maybe a little fear into you, that says, I better study because if I don't study, I might fail. So as those arousal levels go up, what happens? Maximum performance goes up. Right? Maximum performance goes up. Now, in the same vein, for those of you who have too much arousal, and you go sit down to take the test, and you're still kind of anxious because you have what's called test anxiety, okay, your performance is going to drop off because it's too much anxiety that's there. There needs to be an optimal amount, which is right there. You need some arousal, a little fear in you, a little anxiety to get you motivated to study, to do well, okay, but you don't want too much or too little that's there. That's called the arousal theory that's there. So you look at your own lives and you say, well, what motivates me? What makes me aroused to go ahead and motivate myself to do things? Right? I can't answer that for you. Okay? That's what you need to answer. I'm going to show you Maslow's hierarchy of needs in a little bit, and maybe that'll answer some of your questions. There are some people, though, who love to live, okay, not only at the maximum part, but way over, even when their performance drops off, because they love living what? On the edge. They love feeling intense about everything. We call those the sensation seekers, right? The people who love to live on the edge. These are the people that don't want to just drive down LBJ 55, 60. They want to do 90, okay, with the windows down. They want to get on a motorcycle, not just drive a motorcycle, but wait till all the traffic is stopped, and then they go in between the cars and get through it. I always think, what if somebody opens their door as they go through? Or, anyway, it's just dangerous, right? Okay? They love to live on the edge, just push it to the edge all the time. Because, boy, the adrenaline is great, the fear factor is great. It's just, I love it. I feel so alive when I do that. At one time, I used to do a lot of mountain biking. Have any of you done any mountain biking? Okay, and I've always had trouble with trees. They move on me. They jump in front of me when I ride my bike. I used to crash into them a lot. So I didn't do a lot of that after a while. I had too many accidents. But my buddies who I started with, some of them were sensation seekers. So we'd go out to Grapevine Lake and go out there in some of the trails, and we kind of learned the trail. And then for them it was, no, we're not just going to do this trail. We need to do this trail intensely. Okay, we need to fly as quick as we can. We need to hit the jumps. We need to go over the rocks, the limbs, and everything else. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. But to them it was, I really feel like I'm living. And then after a while, that wasn't turning them on anymore. That's what we're talking about, right? Just really turning them on about this stuff. So they go at night, okay? And they'd have their lights on at night so they can see a little bit. Then after a while, that wasn't exciting. And the last time I talked to them, they were out there when there wasn't a moon out whatsoever and trying to memorize the trails and go as fast as they can. Because it was so exhilarating to feel on the edge, to live on the edge. Anybody? It's fun, though, isn't it? When you live that way? A little dangerous, but after you answer this, then I will also say, how many people are here. You also, the people, 40% of you, okay? I don't know if I want to go out with you people if we're going to be dating, because you're always on edge. By the way, these people, too, they like excitement. So if things are going well in the relationship, sometimes they do something to make it more exciting, like they pick a fight with you, okay, and you get into a good fight, get a little anxiety going, okay, this is fun. This is great, because then when we get into a good fight, then we can really make up, okay, because, you got that energy going that's there. So, you might think about this. Hopefully some of you, it's fun to live on the edge and push it every once in a while. It's exciting, but you don't want to live there all the time. Excuse me, I'm in the wrong spot. Don't do that yet. Let me go back to here. The Yerke-Dodson law. The Yerke-Dodson law is mainly used at performance, particularly sports performance. By the way, those of you who are interested in psychology and interested in sports, there are sports psychologists. Okay, and in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they make a pretty good living because a lot of children and adults are into sports here, very active, and they do pretty well. And UNT has a sub-program up there where they'll help you look at sports motivation. But the Yerke-Dodson law has a lot to do with sports, so let me show you that. The Yerke-Dodson law is over here. It has to do with simple tasks and complex tasks, performance and arousal levels. When you work with athletes, if the athlete has a simple task, like being a sprinter for running or a swimmer for a sprint that's there, that's a simple task. You don't think a lot about that, do you? Right? If you're running, you put your feet in the blocks and the gun goes off and you just run as quick as you can. So in that vein, the task is simple, but the arousal level needs to be as high as possible. So with those people, you're saying, come on, pump yourself up. Come on, just feel it. How angry, let that guy beat you next to you. Come on, you got to get out of the blocks. Just do it now. You're trying to get them all, revved up, pumped up and everything, so when they get in the blocks, they're like, they're ready to explode out. I'm not making fun of anybody, but if you take football, okay, and if you were a defensive lineman, it's a much more simpler task than it is to be a quarterback, all right? So the defensive lineman is like, come on, bang heads with me, come on, I'm going to get that person, kill, when that ball snaps, I'm going to knock you on your butt, go. I'm trying to pump them up. But if I told the quarterback, come on, get out there, really go, okay? What winds up happening, this being a quarterback is a complex task. The arousal levels need to be very low. Because he's got to have all the plays in mind, where the people are going to be. He needs to know what the blocking schemes are and everything else. And if he gets too aroused, he's going to throw high, he's going to go throw low, he's going to make mistakes that are there. Okay? Because his arousal is much too high. If you watch the Cowboy game, they had that third-string quarterback for the Eagles that came in, and he was horrible. He threw 3 interceptions that's there. I think he was just too pumped up, okay? Just too pumped up. Got to be able to play within yourself at this task. If I'm working with someone who's playing golf, okay, is that a simple task or a complex task? If I'm making a putt, that's a complex task that's there. I've got to sit there. I've got to look at the green and where the cuts are going to be and where the ball is going to roll and where the bends are, how fast it's going to be. I've got to have a little computer in here doing this. Then I usually have to visualize where the ball is going. If I get up there with a lot of arousal, right, I'm going to hit this. Oh, my gosh, I only wanted to go 10 feet. I'll probably go 400 feet, right, because I'm too aroused. Got to hit this putt. And those people make a lot of money. I hit this putt. If I hit this putt, I win $2 million sometimes. You got to really relax. Golf has a big, huge mental game to it. Okay? And a lot of it has to do with using complex tasks and reducing your arousal the best way you can. We're going to play a game now. You ready? Want to play a game? Let's play a game. Let's just say I bring all of you up here individually, one at a time, and I say to you, I show you, a couple of $1,000 I got here in cash, and I say to you, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you these little I'm going to give you a bean bag, one bean bag that's there. And what I have these little cups. It's kind of like being at the state fair. I got these little, let's say cups, cans that are here. And the first can, okay, is going to be right in front of you, okay? And I'm going to pay you off with this one bean bag. If you get the one bean bag in the can, which 100% to do, 100% success doing this, because all you're doing is doing this, and you get it right in there, all right? I'll give you $10 if you do that. But I'm going to give you $20 if you can get your bean bag in the can that's over there. And most of the time, about 80% of the people can hit that. Or, if you want, you only get one beanbag now, I'm going to give you $40 if you can get it in the can that's out there. And there's like a 50-50 chance that you do that. Then, if you really want to make some money, I can give you $80 if you get it in the can way out there. Very few people can do that, okay? Only about 25% can. And then, if you want, only 5% of the people can do it, but if you really want to go for it, okay, I'll give you $160 to get that beanbag in that can that's way out there. Which one are you going to do? Pick which one you're going to do. I'll only give you one beanbag. That's it. Which one are you going to do? And I'll tell you something about yourselves. People who are successful in life, let's see, I'll get these in here first. People who are successful in life take calculated risks, okay? Now, those of you who, 15% of you are going for it all, okay, have a 5% chance of doing that, sometimes you make it in life. It's hit and miss, though, okay? I'm going to go for it. I didn't make it. Oh, well. Some of you might be very good as an entrepreneur and opening up your own businesses and pushing it. Because those people make it, they don't make it. They make it, they don't make it. Okay? And it's a big risk doing that. But very few succeed. Those of you 10% who do this, yeah, you're going to succeed in life, but you're not going to get very far because you don't take a lot of chances in life. Okay? You don't push it. The people who succeed the most are usually the number threes, who take a 50-50 chance that's there. The 35% of you to do it, who are going to go 50-50 chance to do that, because they take calculated risks in their life. Okay? Calculated risks. I think I can do this. Let me see if I can push myself to do this. I got a 50-50 chance doing it. Now, number 2 and number 4, which is about the even amount, those people can make it work. Probably the people who do 2, 25% chance to succeed better than the number 4, who only 80% chance doing it, because that's a little too much of a risk that's there. Too much of a risk. So people who are successful in life, what they do is they take calculated risks. They push the envelope, right? Just do things that are a little bit outside of their experience and their comfort level, and they probably have a tendency to succeed. I'm not saying those of you, the Steve Jobs of the world and, all the big media and internet billionaires, I mean, they went for it, right? Particularly Steve Jobs. Now, Bill Gates, he didn't go for it. I mean, his stuff was pretty calculated, but that's Microsoft too, right? It's all pretty calculated that's there. He was probably the three. It was a calculated risk. Everything was done beforehand. That's there. Some people make it, some people don't. The ones who make it, the people who take calculated risks. So when we talk about pursuit of excellence and how do you become a star in your chosen field, whether that be athletics, academics, whatever you consider to be a star in whatever field you're going into, there's some interesting research on pursuit of excellence. One, we find that people who are tops in their fields, whatever they go into, have a real need for achievement. I want to be the best. What you'll hear athletes say is, give me the ball in the end because I want to score the last points. I can do it. I want to be the star. I'm going to get all A's because I'm interested in this field and I'm going to do real well. I'm going to do better than everybody else. They have a need for achievement. In the United States, we have a big need for achievement. We're always interested in being number one. We're number one. We're better than other countries. We're better than this and that. I mean, when we do succeed, I think having a need for achievement is great, but it has a lot of downsides to it as well. Okay? Because sometimes people who have a huge need to achieve, okay, are so competitive, okay, they take advantage of other people. Then there's the need for power. Some people who achieve have a real need for power. They want to be the top dog. They want to be the alpha male, the alpha female, because they want to rule and be able to tell other people what to do. There's a need for power that's there. Those people have a tendency to succeed. Now, there's a downside to that too, isn't there? Because those people tend to be very controlling, okay, obstinate, stubborn about the things they do as well. But still, there's a drive that's there. The drive to be the best to achieve. Interesting study done by a fellow by the name of Bloom. And what he'd said was that how do children all of a sudden become Olympic athletes? Right? We have the Winter Olympics coming up here in is it January? It comes up from Russia. Okay? How do children eventually become Olympic athletes? And what Bloom did, he's went and interviewed many Olympic athletes, interviewed their families, and said, what are the keys to success? Now, this is just done with Olympic athletes, but you can take this in terms of your life as well and generalize it. One, when the children were younger, parents exposed the children to all activities, and the activities were fun. Let's go play soccer. Let's go play basketball. Let's go do swimming. Let's go do this. Let's go read a book. Let's go do some art. Let's go to school and read. It's fun. No, okay? I mean, but that's what they do. This is fun. It's interesting. Let's go ahead and learn. The love of learning that some of you did get when you were younger. Some of you didn't. It was just school. High school. Okay? Some of you lit that lamp, okay, in your brain that was there, that you got that, and your parents may have exposed you to that. Those of you, your parents who helped you read at an early age, where you sat down with your mommy and daddy in their beds or wherever in their little laps, and they read to you. That's there. This is the exposure that parents do, and they make it fun. Learning is fun. Or swimming is fun. Or soccer is fun. Or gymnastics is fun. So the kids first say, I want to go to gymnastics. This is fun. Then what they do is the kids really, if they're good at it, okay, and they have a natural ability about it, then they find a coach. They cultivate the experience by finding an expert coach. So in Dallas-Fort Worth, we have the select teams for different things. We have gymnastics centers that are there. But by the way, when the child goes at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 to these places still have to be fun. They still have to make it fun. It still has to be a good time. I'm enjoying going there. And then after a while, what happens with Olympic athletes, they begin to live the activity. I just flashed this. They get up in the morning, they say, oh good, I'm going to swim today. Oh good, when do I swim? When do I do my gymnastics? Kind of like the anorexics. When do I eat? When do I eat? When don't I eat? These people are what? Obsessed about, they live the activity. Let's go, when am I going to swim again? And they do that more than anything else. Or they enjoy what? School. Or they enjoy reading, and they cultivate that. Any successful person does this at this level. This just so happened to be about Olympic athletes. And then what happens is that you have intense practice for a minimum of 10 years. Intense practice for a minimum of 10 years. Okay? But these were for the Olympic athletes. That were the gymnasts were a little younger with that, but most of them is intense. That means not only do you live the event, but you're out there. If you're a swimmer, there aren't a lot of swimming pools in Dallas. So you're probably swimming at 4:30 in the morning. Anybody swimmer? 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, go to school, boom, then you're swimming again. You're playing select soccer all year long. Okay? You're running track, you're doing this, you're doing that, all year long. And in the United States, if you're really good, you may go to a place where you actually live and do this. Tennis camps in Florida, soccer camps in Florida, and maybe your parents actually quit their jobs and move with you so you can do that, or they send you away, okay, so you live these experiences that there. Okay, so, I mean, we're talking living it. We're doing this day in and day out and day in and day out in order to develop those skills that are there. The same thing holds true for academics, or if you're going to be, whatever you're going to teach yourself to do, you have to gain that experience and do it over and over and over and do it well to be successful. By the way, the fun part is always important. Some of you, got burnt out on your sports around your sophomore, junior years in high school? You just had enough. Okay, I'm sick and tired of playing soccer every day. I'm sick and tired of swimming every day. You get burnt out after a while. So it has to be fun that's there. Let me talk with you about yourself now. All right, I want to talk about something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy, Abraham Maslow was a humanistic psychologist. He did some wonderful work, and if you're ever going to take another class in psychology, you need to have learned Erikson, okay, because Erikson is in just about every class. But then Maslow is in just about every class as well in psychology. If you're learning to be a business manager, you need to learn about Maslow because they'll cover it there too. Maslow talks about what motivates you. And what Maslow says is if you figure out an individual's need, what level of need they're on, then you can develop a motivational program to meet their needs. Needs motivate. And once their needs are met, then you need to figure out a new plan, and Maslow has a hierarchy of different needs. Figure out where a person is at their level, learn what their needs are, develop a plan to motivate them. Once that level is met, then what happens is that the next need comes up, you change your plans again. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm going to go through this and explain it to you. So you all kind of drifted before when I was talking about successful athletes. So come on back, okay? Because this affects your life. Can you motivate yourself? Well, what you need to do first is figure out what level are you on. Figure out what level you're on, and then you can develop a motivational program for yourself. So let me tell you what Maslow said, and then let me also apply it to, in case I'm a manager, and how I might motivate the people who work for me. And then let me give you a historical, okay, let me give you a oh, that's, okay, I was trying to figure out if that was your computer and you were running out leaving it, or your phone, okay. Where was I? All right, so then I'm going to give you a historical event and to show you how this happens, through history. All right. The lowest level need that individuals have, according to Maslow, is physiological needs. All right? In order to survive, you need what? Air, food, water, sleep. If you don't get that, you die. I didn't say the last one yet. Let me explain that one yet. Air, food, water, sleep. You have to have that to survive. So, what age is this? This is an infant, right? And the basic infant needs is feed me, change me, feed me, change me, right? So, I feel better now. You met my need. That's there. Not much motivation that's there, right? If you're working for me and I find out you're at this need, by the way, you will do any job that I want you to do because you're barely surviving, right? You may come to this country and take any job possible because where you came from, you're barely surviving and you're trying to help your children. Okay, so you'll take every and any job that's there because of physiological needs. Am I going to give you a contract and say, if you work for me, you'll do this? I don't have to do that. All I can say is cash. I'll pay you in cash. Get up on that roof and do this, do that. Do the dirtiest, stinkiest jobs there are in the world because I'm going to give you cash and you'll say thank you. Why? Because that's where your needs are. Does that make sense? That's where your needs are. You're trying to survive, trying to get food for my family, for them to survive. So you do every and every job there is. Basic needs, that's there. Let's give you a historical perspective on this. Hitler's Germany, post-World War I Germany. We had a depression in the U.S. where 29% of the people were out of work. Okay? In post-World War I Germany, they were up to like 15-60% of unemployment. People were starving. Major people were starving, dying. Hitler comes along and says, I'm going to feed you all, I'm going to put you all back to work. Okay, we're going to do this. And by the way, he did it through corruption and all kinds of other reasons. He got people working, he started feeding his people. They said, rah, rah, we like you, buddy. Okay? He met their needs. He motivated them to work and do different things. He really motivated them to believe in him. Right? To believe in him. I don't know, are you at this level? Do you do things for basic physiological needs? I don't know if you do or not. Think about it. The next level up is called safety and security. And in safety and security, the organism now is looking, their basic needs are met for food. All right, they're getting food. Oh, by the way, I forgot the sex part back there. Okay? I think you can survive without sex. All right? I think you can, can't you? At least go a couple of days, okay, without it. What Maslow talked about was procreational sex, all right? If the human race weren't having sex, we'd all die off because we wouldn't have children. Okay, so what he talks about there is procreational sex, not just sex for the pleasure of it, right? I think that's not a physiological need. I think you can get by without it, all right? The next level up is safety and security. At this level, the individual's physiological needs are being met. Now what's important, I want to be safe and secure. These are little toddlers. Children are just running around now. What you'll see them on a playground is that they're kind of unsure. They'll look at mom or dad, run off and play. Then you see them go, and they run back, and they touch mom and dad. Just kind of like, just want to make sure you're still here, okay. And they run off again because they want to feel safe and secure. Take a toddler away from his room or his house for a weekend, bring them back, and they'll go into their house and they'll go, oh, my house, my bed, my toys. Oh, I feel so good here. They want to feel safe and secure. It's the next level up that's met that's there. If you're working for me, though, and your physiological needs are met, I got to devise a different plan now to get you motivated to do things. Now I may say to you, I'll tell you what we'll do is that safety and security, what we'll do, I'll pay you more so you can move your family to a better neighborhood, okay? I'll also, if you work hard for at least another 6 months, we'll do a contract where I can't fire you and we'll have guaranteed raises that are there. Or Okay, I'll give you health insurance. I'll put you on my health insurance plan. Well, now with affordable health care, okay, everybody's supposed to get that, but basically you might say, oh boy, I can take care of my family a little bit more, myself a little bit more. I can feel safe and secure. I can move to another area where I feel safe and secure. All right, I'll work harder. What did Hitler do? Hitler turned around and said, you know what? Those evil French and those evil English, they took away part of our country. They took away, I'll say, Lorraine, okay? And they took away parts of, that's ours. It's part of our country. We can't be safe with those people around. They may invade us and kill us. Don't tell them that actually Germany invaded everybody else in World War I, but okay, we need to make our country safe and secure. So what are we going to do? We're going to build more tanks and guns and planes. Which was not a bad idea, because what it do? It put people back to work. Okay, gave them more food for the first one, and then he said, yeah, but we're going to increase our borders, so we don't want to be attacked again. And people went, yeah, that's right. All right, I feel safer and secure with you, Hitler. Love you, buddy. Okay. The next level up is called love and belonging. This is about adolescence. This is when you're an adolescent and you want to be part of something. I want to be part of a group that's there. I want to have a sense of belonging. I want to have good friends. I want to be part of R.L. Turner, rah, rah, rah. Okay? I want to be a nerd. No, I want to be a jock. I want to be a goth. I want to be a whatever. I want to belong to something. I want to be part of a gang. Because I want to be part of something. I want those colors. I want to let myself feel better. And I want to be loved. Can people love me? Will I have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Okay, will I be part of a group where people like me? That's all about adolescence. So if you're working for me now, I'm not going to marry you, okay, to give you love, but I want you to be part of the Tom Thumb team. You work for Tom Thumb, and that's pretty darn important because you're an important person working here. We're going to give you a contract. We're going to give you vacation days that are there. If you work for IBM, you will work guaranteed a job for a lifetime. We will take care of you because you are one of us. Work hard will make you one of us. That works for those people at those levels. What did Hitler do at this time? Who are we? We're the Aryan race. We are more important than anybody else. We are better than everybody else. We are the superior race. Do you belong to this race? Yes, you do. Give you a lot of love because you're part of the superior race. And by the way, some people belong and some people don't belong. And those people, okay, the Jews, the people of color, some of the Catholics, the homosexuals, okay, those people don't belong with us because we're the white Anglo Protestant superior race that's there. Heil Hitler! What we're going to do, we'll get our kids to wear, our adolescents to wear brown shirts, okay? And turn all those people in who might be against us. Because, God, does it feel good to belong to something. Little manipulation there, right? And people went, okay, I'm with you. Esteem and self-esteem, okay? 20s, 30s, 40s, according to Maslow. Mostly your 20s and 30s, though. This is where you're getting out of high school stuff, okay? You don't really care about being a goth anymore. You don't really care about those social groups because you want to do something for yourself. What's in it for me? Why are you in school? Are you in school because you're at the esteem level because you want to make something of yourself? You want to make more money? You want to have a career? You want to learn? Or are you in school to meet other people? Belonging. I want to be part of something. So when the test comes up next weekend, or next Wednesday, the last due date is, and you want to study this weekend, or this Tuesday, and your friend says to you, I got tickets to this concert. Let me tell you, we're going to meet a bunch of guys, a bunch of women. You're going to love it. We're going to go down to Austin. Party on, dude. We're going to have a great time. You ready? Well, I got a test the next day. What's more important, partying? Meeting somebody? No, I got you set up with somebody you may really like. Or studying. Well, where's your level? Where's your need level? If your need is to belong, looking for love in all the wrong places, okay? If that's where your need is, then that's what's going to motivate you. Test, okay? I'm gone. I'm down in Austin. Let's party. Or, no, I can't go. I need to study. I want to be able to get a good grade on this because I want to pass this class so I can get this degree, and on and on. Where are you? Are you at the esteem levels? Is it in for you? Now, if you work for me at this level, now I need to motivate you about, tell me what your goals are. What do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? How can I help you get there? How can this company help you get there? I'll tell you what, if you work real hard, what I'm going to do after a while, I'll make you an assistant manager. I'll give you an office with your name on it. I'll make you Vice President Link. How about that? Okay? Esteem, right? I'm feeling good about myself. I'm Vice President Link. I have a company car. I have my name on a door. I don't know, whatever it is. Or I'm just making more money so I can do the things I want to do. Okay? What happened with Hitler when he hit this level? Well, Hitler had some problems at this level. Because now people are saying, oh, wait a minute, Hitler, what's in it for me? Why are we doing all this stuff? Well, we seem to be killing a lot of people. What's going on here? So Hitler said, but wait a minute. But if we keep functioning on, I have something for you. You and your family will control the steel industry in Brazil. You and your family can control the copper industry in Chile. When we conquer the world, you and your group of people can go move to Iceland and do this. And what he was doing was promising people, okay, what's in it for me? Well, I'll tell you what's in it. You're going to make some money, and let me show you how. So a lot of the people went, all right, I'm getting paid off here somewhere along the way. The last level up is called self-actualization. Basically, Maslow says you don't even come close to this until you're in your 60s or 70s. And he said most people approach this, but they don't really live it. Only about 10% of the general population really live this. He mentioned people like Martin Luther King, Lincoln, Einstein, Schweitzer, Eleanor Roosevelt, and there were quite a few ladies down the street from him in Brooklyn also who hit these levels. You don't have to be famous. What this is I'm doing things that I want to do, but it also probably betters society or my family. Okay? I really don't care about monetary gifts. I don't care about money, the car, the this, the that. Okay, all the material things that are there. What's really important to me is that I live up to my potential. Okay? I can be good to my family and provide to my family. I'm living up to my potential. I'm doing the best that I can. And if you work for me and you're at this level, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, here's about $50,000. Okay? Figure out what you need to do in this company to make this company better. Okay? Go for it. I trust you. Because these people you trust. Because these people aren't there for the money, take advantage. They're not there to be Vice President Link or to be President Link. They're there just because it's interesting to do and they're creating something. They're creating different things. They have a lot of wisdom that Erickson talked about at this level. When Hitler hit this level, he had problems. Because at this level, people were going, now what are we doing to those people? How ethical and moral is that? So he had to eliminate these people. He shot a lot of these people. Okay, sorry to say that, but that's what he did. Okay, and when people started challenging him, and then some of these people also tried to kill him. Okay, just to get rid of him the best way they can in that way. So my question to you is, what level are you at? See if you can put this into practice. What level are you at? Now, if you understand what level you're at, then that's what motivates you. I do realize that some of you are providing for your families. You're making the money for your families. And you're going to school. You're doing different things. If your basic level is at physiological and safety, okay, I guess you work first, right? Before you study. I mean, that's just what reality is that's there. That's your level that's there. And I respect that. Okay, but if you want to do well in school, you also need to realize that this is going to pay off sooner or later along the way, so you need to have those levels too. Where are you? Yeah, most of you at number 4, 57. That's your age group, right? That's what you're there for, self-esteem needs. I seriously doubt some of you are at self-actualization. My guess is some of you are moving in that direction, though. You're moving in that direction. That's there. Let me ask you a question. If you were moving in that direction of self-actualization and you had all these other levels going pretty good, then you got fired from your job, okay? Lost your house, lost your job, lost your car, you're out on Marsh Lane trying to get some money that's there. Would you still be functioning on a self-actualized level? Probably not. You're probably at a physiological level. But you know what Maslow said? Was once you get a taste of the higher levels, you never forget it. So you may be panhandling for money and trying to get any decent job that'll pay, but you still may be reading existential philosophy at night or something, okay, because you got a taste of those higher levels that are there. He says you never really lose those. I got a couple of minutes here. What's the correct order of needs in Maslow's hierarchy? I just went through this. What's the correct order? Physiological, esteem, safety, self-actualization. I'm not going to read all these to you. What's the correct order? For 1 point. To finish the day with 1 point. As you do this, remember, this is the time of the semester when people give up. This is the time of the semester that's really hard to try to motivate you to come to class, to finish the schoolwork. Some of you also, you groaned when I said the next test comes up on Thursday. Oh, we just took a test. Yeah, but this one's only over 2 chapters. Come on, motivate yourself. Nobody party this weekend. No. Think about what you want to do. This is the test a lot of you can do really well on. Let's see what the right answer was. 97% of you were correct. Good. By the way, I've got about 97% of the